Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Rubenstein, and I'm excited to be sharing some of our juvenile selections with you today from Workman Publishing and our imprints. You can download the handout of this presentation in our booth, the Workman booth, for easy access to links and metadata. We have so many amazing educator guides, discussion guides, and other educational resources available for you on our website. Follow the link highlighted here to access them all. I wanted to take a moment to highlight some of our more recently published titles. I wish I could speak to all of them, but we just don't have enough time. Some of my favorites on the screen are Some Days, a sweet story about a mother's chronic illness. Egg Marks the Spot is the second in the best-selling Skunk and Badger series from Newbery Honor author Amy Timberlake and Caldecott medalist John Klassen. African Icons is a stellar middle grade nonfiction introduction to 10 real-life kings, queens, inventors, scholars, visionaries, and more that changed the world. How Do You Live is the very first English translation of Genzaburo Yoshoni's Japanese novel. And lastly, Walls, which is a phenomenal young adult novel about two teens who find themselves on the opposite sides of the Berlin Wall. Okay, now on to the new stuff. Continuing in the hit Indestructible series for babies comes Touch Your Nose and Taste the Fruit. These brand new titles introduced high contrast images with early literacy concepts in a non-toxic, grit-proof, drool-proof, and totally washable package. Because let's be real, babies read with their gummy little mouths. The latest editions will hit shelves on April 12th. You can view the entire series and available titles on our website using the highlighted link on this slide. Announcing a brand new BrainQuest program for the very youngest learners. My First BrainQuest board books. BrainQuest is America's #1 educational brand with millions of copies in print. And these groundbreaking board books introduce babies and toddlers to early learning concepts the BrainQuest way, a simple question and answer format. Launching the series are 5 titles, each designed to bring early learning skills like pre-reading and pre-math. ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, colors, shapes, and first words around the house will all be available on July 19th. We have a few new board books to share with you this spring. The Spencer series is continuing with Spencer Goes to School and Spencer on the Farm, which are adorable shaped board books with a super cute kitten, and they're both available in June, while the first 2 books are available now. Yellow Like a Submarine, Purple Like the Rain is a colorful and playful introduction to classic rock. 99 Red Balloons is on the highlighted spread, and yes, there are actually 99 red balloons on this page. This rocking board book will be available on March 29th. For budding chefs and foodies everywhere comes 3 new cookbooks for kids and parents to share. Kids Cook Dinner features 25 easy, budget-friendly, healthy, and tasty dinner recipes from the best-selling cooking class series and is available on May 24th. Kids Cook Gluten-Free offers over 65 kid-tested recipes for chefs ages 8 to 12, including cookies, hamburger sliders, red lentil dal, and more. Okay, now I'm getting hungry. You too? Start cooking from this book on May 10th. Lunchbox shares one of the hottest parenting trends right now, creating unique, healthy, and delicious lunchbox meals for kids ages 3 to 10. This can be a daunting task for many parents, but Lunchbox offers ways to repurpose leftovers, customize easy pantry staples, and cost-saving and waste-saving options. You can grab this essential on June 19th. In a stunning follow-up to the nonfiction picture book Monarch Butterflies comes The World of Coral Reefs. Young readers will be taken on an underwater tour in a highly accessible format by marine ecologist and underwater explorer Erin Spencer. Fascinating facts about the anatomy and life cycle of coral, the many fish and marine life that flourish in the reef, where reefs live, and even solution-oriented ways kids and adults can be involved in conservation efforts. This important resource is available on March 29th. Here it is, the celebrity biography we didn't know we wanted and now we can't get enough of. The Story of Earth, our fascinating little home in the solar system with all its crazy life forms and dramatic geological ages. The ultimate biography of Earth is the riveting story of the planet we call home, told in biography form. It all begins with the Big Bang and continues up to the relatively present day, the age of humans. The Earth is a character itself in this book, participating in interviews and chiming in with facts and personal memories. The voice is friendly, irreverent, and funny, delivering impeccable science in the most fascinating way. all of which reinforces how the planet has changed over time while putting how it's changing into context and driving home the importance of caring for our Earth into the future. Add this to your bookshelf on March 29th. As a parent, sleep and bedtime are big triggers for me. I would try anything to be sure my babe sleeps soundly through the night and reduces meltdowns at bedtime. This book is designed for kids ages 5 to 9 and filled with practical tips and kid-friendly activities to build positive associations with bedtime. Sleep Tight Through the Night offers ideas and shares engaging prompts that are accessible to all and easy to implement, using creative visualization, mindfulness techniques, and playful, fun strategies, easing bedtime struggles, welcoming sound, restful sleep. You can have a struggle-free bedtime starting on May 24th. Middle school is an essential time to learn and practice social skills, including how to get along with others, talk about hard things, be an ally, and a good friend. In What Can I Say, Catherine Newman, the author of the bestseller How to Be a Person, provides supportive guidance and instruction to help kids establish and maintain meaningful relationships and effective communication with friends, teachers, family members, and others in their communities. Every page of this super useful book provides easy, accessible scripts and guidance on the right thing to say in all kinds of situations, from how to be inclusive, listen, give advice, argue, stick up for yourself, and ask for help. This book even covers how to express sympathy, deal with offensive comments, respond to bullying, and be trustworthy. All of the 50+ scripts and tips are presented in an accessible, non-judgmental voice with graphic novel-style illustrations. This is a must-have for all juvenile collections and is available on May 24th. Using simple explanations and appealing illustrations, a familiar A to Z format, the Young Activist Dictionary of Social Justice will teach kids the new vocabulary of change. Vetted by Reese Tottingham, an anti-bias, anti-racism educator, this essential new resource is packed with easy, understandable definitions of timely concepts. Each beautifully designed spread represents a letter and provides concise, age-appropriate definitions for 10 or more terms with subject matter spanning issues like racial justice, climate change, gender equality, LGBTQ+ rights, income disparity, voter engagement, and immigration. In addition to the definitions are bite-sized bios accompanying key terms, stories of social justice advocates who got involved at a young age, infographics and sidebars. There is even a resource section in the back where kids can read more about how to take action on the cause that's meaningful for them. Pick up this important resource on March 29th. Yep, you read that correctly. The next middle grade novel from 2017 Newbery medalist Kelly Barnhill is here, The Ogress and the Orphans. I will pause for cheers and whoops and yes that I know are happening out there in the internet land. This new instant classic is about the power of generosity and love and how a community suffers when those values disappear. Stone in the Glen, once a lovely town, has fallen on hard times. Fires, floods, and other calamities have caused the people to lose their library, their school, their park, even their neighborliness. The people put their faith in the mayor, a dazzling fellow who promises he alone can help. After all, he is a famous dragon slayer. At least no one has ever seen a dragon in his presence. Only the clever children of the orphan house and the kindly ogress at the edge of town can see how dire the town's problems are. But when a child goes missing from the orphan house, the mayor suggests it was the ogress. The orphans know this cannot be. The ogress, along with a flock of excellent crows, secretly delivers gifts to the people of the Stone in the Glen. But how can the orphans tell the story of the ogress's goodness to people who refuse to listen? And how can they make their neighbors see the real villain in their minds? This should shoot to the top of your TBR lists. It is beautifully written and has all the fun and magic and fantasy that you would expect from Kelly Barnhill. You can watch a message from Kelly herself chatting about the Ogress and the Orphans and request a digital galley in our booth. Kelly's first two titles, The Witch's Boy and the 2017 Newbery Medal winning The Girl Who Drank the Moon, are both available now. I cannot wait to share this, The Ogress and the Orphans, with you all on March 8th. Tick, tick, tick. Time is running out in the Empire of Rheinfeld. The sudden appearance of strange and frightening statue foretells darkness. The Hierophants, magic users of the highest order, have fled the land, and the shadowy beasts of the nearby hinterlands are gathering near the borders, preparing for an attack. Young Prince Alphonsus has a great secret. He has a clock in his chest where his heart should be, and it's begun to run backwards, counting down to his unknown fate. Searching for answers about the clock, Alphonsus meets Esme, a Hierophant girl who has returned to the Empire in search of a sorceress named Nachtfrau. When riddles from their shared past threaten the future of the Empire, Alphonsus and Esme must learn to trust each other and work together to save it, or see the destruction of everything they both love. The Counterclockwise Heart will hit shelves on February 1st, and Brian Ferry's first middle grade novel, The Secret of Dreadwillow Carse, is available now. What would you do if you turned on the faucet one day and nothing happened? What if you learned the water in your home was harmful to drink? Water is essential for life on this planet, but not every community has the safe, clean water it needs. In When the World Runs Dry, award-winning science writer Nancy Castaldo takes readers from Flint, Michigan and Newark, New Jersey to Iran and Cape Town, South Africa to explore the various ways in which water around the world is in danger and why we must act now. And you're never too young to make a difference. Topics in this book include lead and water infrastructure problems, pollution, fracking contamination, harmful algal blooms, water supply issues, rising sea levels, and potential solutions. When the World Runs Dry is available on January 18th. From Eisner Award-winning writer Marika Makula and debut artist Atmaja Pandya comes an emotional coming-of-age graphic novel for fans of Bloom and Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. Right before Jade is about to leave for a summer art intensive, her best friend Phoebe attempts suicide. How is Jade supposed to focus on herself right now? But at the art farm, Jade has artistic opportunities she's been waiting for her whole life. Jade pours herself into making ceramic monsters that vent her stress and insecurities. But when she puts her creatures in the kiln, something unreal happens. They come to life, and they're taking a stand. If Jade won't confront her problems are going to confront her, including the scariest of them all. If Jade grows, prospers, and even falls in love this summer, is she leaving Phoebe behind? Slip is a beautiful young adult graphic novel, one of my favorites on this list, and I hope you will all find your way to it on January 18th. That's it for me. Here are all of the ways to reach me. Next up is Annie Mazes with our adult selections. We look forward to seeing you next year in person.
Hello, I'm Annie Mazes, and I handle our adult library marketing at Workman Publishing. My email is right here, so please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I want to talk today about a few books that I think would really make sense for classrooms. First up is Good Thinking by David Robert Grimes. In our ever more polarized society, there's at least one thing we can all agree on, I hope. The world is overrun with misinformation, faulty logic, and the gullible followers who believe it all. Of course, we're not among them, are we? Scientist David Robert Grimes is on a mission to expose the logical fallacies and cognitive biases that drive our discourse on a dizzying array of topics, from vaccination to abortion, 9/11 conspiracy theories to dictatorial doublespeak, astrology to alternative medicine, and wrongful convictions to racism. But his purpose in Good Thinking is not to shame or place blame. Rather, it's to interrogate our own assumptions, to develop our eye for the glimmer of truth in a vast sea of dubious sources. In short, to think critically. Grimes's expert takedown of irrationality is required reading for anyone wondering why bad thinking persists and how we can defeat it. Next up is Liberty, which is an amazing novel by Caitlin Greenidge. It's a coming of age. As a free Black woman in Reconstruction era Brooklyn, Liberty Sampson is all too aware that her purposeful mother, a practicing physician and based on one of the first female Black doctors in America, has a vision for their future together. Liberty will go to medical school, she'll practice alongside her mom, but Liberty is much more drawn to the arts than she is to science, and she feels stifled by her mother's choices. Is there really only one way to live her life? She's constantly reminded also that unlike her mother, she cannot pass because her skin is too dark. When a young man from Haiti proposes to Liberty and promises that she will be his equal on his island, she jumps at the chance only to discover that she is still subordinate to him and all men. As she tries to parse what freedom actually means, Liberty struggles with where she might find it for herself and for generations to come. Speaking of race, it's easy to say that racism is wrong, but it's surprisingly hard to agree on what it is. Does a tired stereotype in your favorite movie make it racist? Does watching it mean that you're a racist? Even among like-minded friends, such discussions can quickly escalate to hurt feelings. And when they do, we lose valuable opportunities to fight racism. Patricia Roberts Miller is a scholar of rhetoric, the art of understanding misunderstandings. And in Speaking of Race, she explains why the subject is a third rail, something to avoid, and how we can do better. We can acknowledge that in a racist society, racism is not the sole providence of bad people. We can focus on the harm it causes rather than the intent of the offenders. And when someone illuminates our own racist blind spots, we can take it not as criticism, but as a kindness and an opportunity to learn and to become less racist ourselves. An illustrated book of loaded languages is by the author and illustrator of an illustrated book of bad arguments, which I am a huge fan of. This is a very timely guide to rhetoric, the hidden and not so hidden slant in speech and writing. We exist in a pretty toxic political climate, and what is unsaid is as important as what is said. The author and illustrator here teach readers to recognize language that shifts blame, erases responsibility, uses dog whistles, plays on our fears, or rewrites history subtly or shamelessly. Freedom is by Nathan Law. And in this dispatch from exile, Nathan Law, a political activist and Nobel Peace Prize winner, nominee rather, apologies, shows how easily freedoms can be eroded or diminished and dismantled. Freedom is fragile, it's not a given, and each generation must fight to protect it, whether in emerging democracies or in the Western world, where freedom is often taken for granted. Law sets out to prove the value of what we take to be inherently bestowed upon us as human beings and to expose the Chinese government as it barricades its citizens from enjoying freedom. He lays out how the government controls what people know and are allowed to think, suppresses the truth, and undermines democratic processes by censoring its own members. If freedom is a basic human right, then why were lawyers, journalists, and activists being jailed, and why has Nathan Law been labeled a wanted fugitive? Rooted in his own experience as a former elected official and student leader of the umbrella movement, Law explores not just how important freedom is in principle for human beings to thrive, but how it is put into practice. What does it mean to be able to speak freely, and what happens when this concept collapses? Nathan Law has worked tirelessly to apply pressure in order to reshape freedom in Hong Kong, because it is with freedom that we'll live as we are meant to. Honor is by best-selling author Thridi Umrigar. It tells the story of two Indian women and the courage they inspire in each other. Indian-American journalist Smita returns to India to cover the story of Meena. She sees a culture where the marriage of a Hindu woman to a Muslim man is a source of family shame, a culture where women are often shaped by violence. While Meena's fate hangs in the balance, Smita tries in every way she can to right the scales, but she must also reckon with the privilege that she has in being an American and face the trauma that has led her own family to leave India. Fans of A Woman Is No Man will be gripped by the heartbreaking and perceptive story of Meena and Smita, two women trying to navigate how to live in a country where reprehensible things continue to happen, a country that they want more than anything to be able to call home. Booklist calls this an intense, incisive, and timely drama. Perpetual West, spanning from Virginia to Texas to Mexico, Misha Marin's thrilling follow-up to Sugar Run takes us from missionaries to wrestling matches to a luxurious cartel compound and deep inside the psychic choices that shape our identities. A sweeping novel that tells us much about America and Mexico as it does about our own natures and desires, Perpetual West is an utterly engaging look at the false divide between high and low culture and a suspenseful story of how harrowing events can bring our true selves to the surface. Since 2015, there's been a spectacular boom in a nearly 200-year-old delusion that the idea that we all live on a flat plane. It's the ultimate in conspiracy theories, a wholesale rejection of everything we know to be true about the world in which we live. But where did this idea come from? Kelly Wheel draws a straight line from today's conspiratorial moment back to the early days of flat earthers in the 1830s. The only difference between now and then is that social media exists, and powered by Facebook and YouTube algorithms, the Flat Earth movement is growing. Anna Merlin, author of Republic of Lies, sums this book up perfectly when she calls it an exquisite, inquisitive, empathetic, deeply reported, and disturbingly funny tour through the furthest reaches of the most fringe possible conspiracy community. And finally, Linked. This is a definitive guide to maximizing LinkedIn and navigating the changing hiring landscape. It's written by hiring gurus, both former LinkedIn marketing heads with invaluable insider perspective, and it lays out a 5-step job search framework tying each to a discrete action on LinkedIn. That is it for me. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you really enjoy your NCTE conference. Take care.